We'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which this project is created, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. We would also like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Settle down and gather round for another tale. In the world of Nua, where time has carved and cultivated a magical utopia of wonder, a small group of adventurers unlock the deep mysteries of the land, its people, and themselves. Welcome to the Down Under Dungeon podcast.
Lidrin's mental note regarding the expedition to find a cure for the Illithid colony. It has been a week since I was invited aboard the Halyghast by its chief, or chef, whatever the term, Denis. A curious spring of a chap, he's both highly expressive and completely impressionable, constantly shoving treats in mouths in exchange for adoration, affirmation. The motive is yet unclear. The rest of the crew is equally curious, all operating as separate entities while still being able to come together to complete a function bigger than themselves. An admirable feat. Granted, I have identified numerous errors in their process and noted several means of optimizing systems. However, with the omnipresence of ale and lack of studied telepathy, I doubt such feedback would be well received. Even in my revelry, I am well aware this may be the last effort to save my people. With the loss of our elder brain on our journey to the land of shadow, our existence has been cursed from the beginning. That place, the Umbra Isles, it was starved for resources, repelling the forces of death and undeath that had long plagued that place well before our arrival. Our visage, our way, and our power terrified them, adding us to the roster of beasties and ghouls of the volcanic wastes. Even in our exile, deep within the embrace of the earth, we diminished. But there is hope. The ship's wizard, Holly, has knowledge and a perspective way beyond her mortal years. She seeks prosperity and renewal upon the very moons themselves. While she offers paradise, we are weary to the open palm lest it close, as it so often does, into an iron fist. I know with Denis' guidance and new nutrition plan, I will see the way forward. Hope endures despite its fleeting quality, and these people have shown me that much. I still have a lot to learn.
Okay, so everyone, I forgot to bestow upon you your gift last week, which was your level up.
Oh, yay! Wait already, why so quickly?
What do you mean by so quickly? You escaped the maw of the wereworm and travelled to the land of shadow. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what I call a milestone.
No, I knew. I just wanted to hear it again.
Oh.
Give us some vindication.
Oh, okay.
A little peek behind the curtain here at the Down Under Dungeon podcast.
Well, it is true, the Wellspringers have returned from their foray into the putrescent woods with the Myconid men, and after a few days of rest, you have indeed leveled up. So we're going to go around the table very quickly, and if everyone wants to tell us what level they took and what hit dice they are rolling, what their HP was before and what it is now. Feng, let's start with you.
Alrighty, so I'm taking my 7th level in Druid. My hit point maximum was 46. I am about to roll my D8. And that is a 6. So with my +3 in Constitution, that goes up to a 55. And Promi has 40 hit points.
Yes. That is a beefy burb.
Thick ass. That's a big bird.
Buff little chicken.
Yeah.
I'm going to tease a very quick thing that I nearly didn't take a level of Druid, but we'll see what happens.
Whoa.
So, Lysandra took a 2nd level in Warlock. Previously, she had 48 hit points, rolling a 7 on the D8 with a +1 to her Constitution, brings it to a 56.
Nice.
Very nice. Denis took his 4th level in Artificer, which means that he gets a feat!
Yay!
His first feat since level 1, and I've been waiting for this. First, I'll do the hit die. So my hit points before was 51, +2 from my Constitution, and I rolled a 7.
Nice.
So that brings it up to an even 60.
Whew.
Whoa!
Yeah, 60.
Yes.
Doing maths.
Beefy goblin.
Beefy goblin, yeah. And then for his feat, Denis took Shadow Touched, which gives him a +1 to his intelligence, bringing that up to 20.
Jesus.
And he gets the invisibility spell and a first level necromancy or illusion spell, and I've elected to go with inflict wounds, namely because it's a touch spell, and then Pud can cast it.
You're fucked now, dear.
Better start running.
Pud's gonna stab everything.
As he should. As he should. So, Louis took her 7th level in Bard, and I am rolling a d8 for my hit points. That's an 8.
Hey.
Plus 1 from my constitution is a 9, bringing me up to an even 50.
Very, very nice.
The little weak old woman. I am not tanky in any way.
Keep rolling like that and you'll catch up.
I like to think she's not getting any stronger. It's just people take more and more pity on her.
That's exactly what it is. I am getting more piggybacks. I am getting carried everywhere.
Wonderful. So, let us descend upon Camp Halyghast. The ship idles above the henge of white stones, with 2 huge rope ladders cascading either side, providing means of access to the camp below. In the clear centre of the spiralling pattern, the crew has erected several canvas tents and a larger pavilion for their captain. While visible in the sky, Holly has deemed the risk of ambush too great to have the ship powered down completely, and must be ready for a quick getaway at a moment's notice.
Good idea.
Between Charity's spells and Denis' taste buds, they have identified the cairn of stones as sight stones, an old moon elf creation in the early days of their exile, where they would attempt to reconnect with their fey kin to send help. Clearly, it did not work. While the structure is similar to the henge you found in Lal Udruid, it is far more natural in its composition, less deliberate in the placement of the stones. It seems maybe loosely related, but definitely made by a completely different people. The Myconid druids have accompanied you to the camp. It appears that they are a scouting group attempting to establish a foothold from their spore circle deeper in the putrescent woods. As beings committed to the establishment of life here, they perceive your encampment as a struggling being in the darkness, and so have aided you. While the moons are up, their vastness casts enough light to see and banishes most of the nasties to the shadow. But when the moons fall and the true night begins, the noises, hisses, and skittering in the darkness permeate the camp. Luckily, the Spore Druids have stood guard, drawing ruins in the volcanic ash and patrolling the perimeter to deter anything that might brave the torchlight of the encampment. Wellspringers, you are resting from your turbulent journey, and where do we find you in the encampment?
I think Feng is honestly probably sitting alone, clutching the mushroom charm around his neck, trying to reach back out to Frida. Probably her voice echoing behind his ears as he's trying to make sure that everything's okay back in either Sidewinder Canyon or Lulludruid, wherever she is.
Feng, what are you just clutching it? Or can you paint me a little bit bigger of a picture?
Yeah, for sure. I think Feng's honestly just sitting cross-legged. He summoned Promi, allowing him to kind of just play in the environment around him as he's trying to speak into the charm. And he's like, Frida, can you hear me? Are you there?
It takes a long while, Feng, but after a while, you slip into a trance. It's similar to when you inhaled the spores the first time you met the Myconid man at the bottom of the gorge in Lulludruid. And all of a sudden you see a disheveled but resolute form of Frida, her once luscious coat now patchy and greying in places. While her kind face remains, you see 2 clouded eyes where amber ones were once before, and she says to you,
Feng, I can't believe it's you. Never thought I'd feel your presence again.
Frida, where are you? What's going on?
Oh, Feng, I'm so sorry. I should have listened to you. Follow your example. But it's too late now. She's taken everything.
Frida summarizes what has happened in Lulludruid since the Wellspringers left.
Well, yeah, I mean, for us, it's been 5 months, just over 5 months in world since we've been in Lulludruid, so shit.
Yellen established quick control over the city, using her new ally, the pension prospecting company, to arm and fund the Tears of Persephone.
Ugh.
It wasn't long before she became jealous and scared of subterfuge, and so she rooted out all opposition to her influence. The Wildfire Circle was disbanded, Frida arrested, and her acolytes either forced to renounce their ways or banished from the city. The Circle of Stone was less compliant in their ultimatum, and so to make an example, she destroyed them. She has always been worried about the Wellspringers and the long list of headaches they had created by the underground resistance of people that they inspired when they left. She could not shake not knowing what you are up to in the Sidewinder Canyon, and so she has proceeded to tear the lower formation to the ground.
Holy shit.
Oh my gosh.
Frida explains that is where she is now, in Sidewinder Canyon, captive, feeding the hordes that have been working to excavate the rock. They discovered ancient tunnels to rest and hide from the heat of the day, and within the labyrinth, Frida discovered these curious black mushrooms. While acrid to the taste, once boiled they developed a pleasant texture, and she's been tending to them ever since. And it was while she was tending to these mushrooms, Feng, that she heard your voice.
I think Feng's mind in this moment is honestly racing, thinking about every person in Lala Druid, thinking of Irene, thinking of Vanessa, thinking of Miss Miranda if she's still in her demi-plane, if that's even allowed there, and thinking about the fact that Yellen clearly has almost complete control now. And so he'll ask Frida, is there anyone else there with you? Were you able to get anyone out, like Vanessa or Irene?
Frida explains how she waited too long, and by the time Yellen descended on the circle, she didn't have the power or sway with the people to defend herself. And she gestures to her eyes and says, I don't know, Feng, I didn't see. It was almost punishment, I guess, for taking my eyes. Years of inaction, I guess, for when I had my sight, and now I see everything. But I'm trying to get through it. I'm trying to connect to the people, but I'm just a mushroom tender now, Feng.
That's okay, Frida. There's no such thing as just a mushroom tender.
Are you coming back?
I hope so. I don't know when, but I promise I do what I can to get you out of there.
The vision begins to shift slightly as you notice your meditation is being disturbed by someone entering your presence.
Feng turns to look at who it is.
You see Charity is standing there outside of the circle and says, Feng, sorry to disturb. I get the whole, connecting and, re-establishing, especially after all, I'm just glad to see, stars again. This is fantastic. And I'm rambling. We've been summoned by the captain. She wants to see us.
No worries, Charity. Thank you very much. Are you okay? Is there something going on?
No, I'm pretty sleep deprived. Underground is no fun. I'm not going to be doing that again. But I don't see any way back, so I'm dreading that if that ever happens. But I could always go to the moon, so that's always something I could. Anyway, I'm rambling again. Feng, you're letting me ramble.
Are you going? Charity,
Feng.
Yeah, I know, it's all my fault.
Come on, Feng.
Charity, are you going to be able to sleep on the moons, or is this just going to be like, while you're up there, you just don't sleep? Have you thought about this?
Thanks. She looks at you dead serious. She looks at you dead in the eyes, Feng, and says, Feng, why are you doing this to me?
I'm so sorry, let's go see what Holly wants. And Feng gets up and starts walking.
The look in Emerson's eyes, realizing that oh shit, actually.
Charity leads you back through the encampment, Feng, like muttering to herself crazily, being like, of course there's no fucking sun on the moon. There's no moons on the moon, you idiot. And she pushes open the flap of Holly's pavilion, and you see she's standing there, and she has a very serious look on her face. She gestures for you to both take a seat.
Feng takes a seat and looks for the rest of the Wellspringers, wherever they are.
Holly walks to the opening of the tent, and you see her cast a spell, and the canvas snaps shut and is sealed. And she turns to the both of you and says, I don't mean to be here any longer than I have to, but until that time, I need to keep a lid on things here. She walks between the two of you, circles her desk and sits at it, and you see she's got these like sprawling pages over the expanse, thick leather-bound books, a crystal ball, and she looks very tired but also resolute. Something or someone has dispelled my alarm spell in the last couple of days and has been rummaging around through my quarters. And she's going to make an insight check on your reactions.
Everyone at the table looked at me. I'm like, motherfucker.
I looked over there first. I went around these people.
Yeah, Feng, I think in this... I don't know what Feng's reaction is, because he hasn't done it. Does he know that Denny... No, because you didn't bring it up in that conversation. So Feng doesn't know that Denny's been in there, so Feng probably, looks surprised.
You see Holly cocks an eyebrow after studying Charity's face just as intensely and says, Denny saw me working on some prototype spells for the ship to survive space travel a few weeks back. I don't know, maybe the cook wishes to take credit for someone's greater achievement, but I'm too close now to be compromised.
Feng will ask, are you sure someone like Denny could dispel your alarm magic? I know that he's really strong and powerful in the arcane gifts, but we haven't seen him do anything like that before.
You see Holly nods and says, well, Denny is a hobgoblin and he has high elven blood through him, so I wouldn't underestimate him at all.
So what do you think the person was after Holly? Did they take anything?
Nothing of true importance, but had they been a little bit more careful, they might have found something a little bit juicier, but they only found the notes Finkel took on Denny's extra-dimensional knife and some of my personal Apani records, diary entries, things like that.
Holly, why would Denny take notes to his own knife?
Well, this is it. Denny was the only Wellspringer who wasn't in the Apani tombs.
Okay, I mean, I'm happy to go and talk to him if you would like, but...
Look, it may be nothing, but I need to get to the bottom of this quickly. If someone's tampered with something on this ship before we go, I can't leave any loose ends here.
Would you like me to go and talk to him?
And as she goes to reply to you, you hear a woof as someone collides with the magical barrier of the tent, and you hear the muffled groans and pains of Grick outside flailing on the ground.
Why always Grick?
You see Holly rolls her eyes and goes over and dispels the seal on the door, and you see Grick tumbles through, clutching his broken nose, saying, "Oh, Storm! It's happening! She's bursting!"
Feng starts running for Cecilia.
Scrambling on board the Halyghast and back to the safety of the boiler room, you see Patrick is circling above Cecilia, calling worriedly and flipping in the air. Cecilia also looks visibly distressed, and you see she's developed a thick, cold mucus that's started to build up across her body. Grick points at it and says, "Sticky."
Rick, you've got such a way with words.
Feng immediately starts putting the non-existent birthing plan into action.
Yeah. You see Grick runs to get a bucket of hot water and some towels.
No, you're wasting time. And Feng casts Create Water and then uses the Produce Flame cantrip to make sure that the water is warm. He calls over Louis to help him create some towels and then dips them into the warm water.
Let's go. Okay, this is not my first time delivering a kid. Let's go.
I knew that. I just guessed.
This is how this is going to work, Ben.
What do you mean?
Your birthing mechanics.
These are your birthing mechanics. You're going to make an animal handling check with Louis.
It's the most literal animal handling I've ever heard in my life.
Literally. Grick and Louis will give you advantage on the roll.
Thank you very much.
You need to roll. You're already druid. It's very, very easy for you to pass, so the DC is higher. What will happen is, if you are successful or unsuccessful in the check, you will roll a d4 to determine how many pups Cecilia produces.
God.
If you succeed on your animal handling check, you'll get a +1 to that roll. If you fail, you will get a -1 to that roll.
Okay.
As this is going on, can he go to Lysandra and say to her, hey, 50 gold, that it's 3 kids.
Yeah, I think Denny and Lysandra are like the dads who have been relegated relegated from the birthing suite and just drinking whiskey.
Yes, smoking cigars.
Denny's not helping with Lysandra's bad habits.
Perfect.
Alright, Feng, give me your animal handling check.
Can Louis also, using her prior experience in this kind of situation, give him a bardic?
Yes.
I like that. Like, Grig's giving the advantage, Louis giving the bardic.
Thank you very much. Let's do this.
Come on, baby.
Am I going to be making multiple animal handling checks?
Just one.
Okay, so I'm guaranteed using the bardic. That's fine. I think I'm going to roll that first.
What do we got?
That's a 1, but we can re-roll because it's a skill check. That's another 1. Okay.
Oh, you see Cecilia starts panting.
And now the animal handling. The highest is a 12, which goes up to a 16 plus 1 is 17 for a final result.
Oh, the DC was 15. Feng, I need a D4 from you, please.
That's 3.
But doesn't he get a +1? So that's 4.
Oh, 4. I thought you get 3.
Ruined the moment, Mudge.
Then he sees the third kid coming out. He's like, yes,
You're outside.
here's the third kid. Tastes the third kid coming out.
You see, for the remainder of the night, Feng, you stay up with Grig, taking turns, but eventually, as the moons rise once again, Cecilia and Patrick are the proud parents of quadruplets.
Could we have one each? Yeah, Feng will turn to the rest of the Wellspringers and Grig and say, you get to name one of them each.
Denny's naming his put 3.
Lysandra's going to pipe up, remembering back to when she gave Irene the little silver dagger.
Oh, yeah.
We could call one of them Irene.
I love that.
And I think we should maybe honor some of those that fell to get all of us out of there safely. So, Constantine.
I think that's really nice. What about you, Grig?
You see Grig walks up to Cecilia and pokes one of the pups that's feeding. They don't feed from any visible teats or anything. They're literally eating the cold mucus that she's been building up on her body. And you see he pokes one of the babies, turns around, looks at you all with a toothy smile and says, "Sticky."
That's beautiful.
I think that is the one day of rest for you guys. I think maybe Feng tells you a little bit about his vision, and while it is a little bit scary and probably daunting to you all, the ending of 4 new lives that you have really fostered and protected, and now they are the first mantelopes that have been born in Shadowfell.
Yeah, do they have shadow magic now?
I'm rolling for shadow magic. Yeah, they all turn into Jack.
While Feng's sitting with the rest of the Wellspringers as well, debriefing, he'll turn to Denny and he'll fill them in on what happened with Holly, what she said about Denny potentially being the one behind snooping through her stuff, and he'll ask, Denny, was that you? Did you do that?
Denny, profoundly insulted. He's going, look, just so everybody knows, if I was going through people's stuff, you would not fucking know about it, okay?
No, that's what
No,
I
but
thought.
it was not me. I do not have the ability to dispel magics. I perhaps I should be honest. I had a conversation with Holly about, my past, her past, what she was doing, but that was not secretive. She was well aware of that. But no, this was not me. Then Denny's going to get a thought in his mind and go, might have been put. I did not tell him to do that, but he may have grown consciousness.
So, where else are the Wellspringers relaxing after their tumultuous journey?
I think Lysandra has been trying to connect with her dad again. She's been sort of off trying to understand, I guess, the directional nature of the area, trying to get information from Charity of, if she can see any civilizations or anything like that. And after all of that, is going to sit down with her sword out in front of her, almost like a pin of a compass, and is going to reach through it to try and connect with her dad.
Your sword begins to float in front of you. Black flames spark and lick down the tang, and the bone glimmers in the moonlight. You close your eyes for an instant, and when you open them, you find yourself in a liminal space, a cool gloom. Sitting across from you, the visage of your father, shackled in manacles of black iron. Even in his later years, Duma resembles a man who was incredibly handsome in his youth. A thick salt and pepper beard wraps around a jutting jawline and high cheekbones, if somewhat gaunt cheekbones. Long black hair falls to his chest, and when he catches your eyes, Lysandra, he sighs, sitting back and smiling into space. You made it. Lysandra, you made it. I can feel you now, even see you. Are you okay? Are you safe?
Father, of course I'm safe. Of course I made it. But how safe can anyone be being in a land unknown?
I don't know, darling. The moonlight seems to suit you.
I don't feel like I'm in any danger. Question for you as a DM. Does he have 4 horns?
No, he's a man.
He's just a man.
It's just a guy.
Interesting.
Very interesting indeed.
Like human man?
A man.
That is
What does that mean?
A real man. No, he's just a man.
Yeah, cool.
Like, impressive looking man, but nonetheless a man.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as you were describing it, like, did you find my 14-year-old journal? Like, look it up, dude.
How can I find you?
Well, getting here is honestly half the trouble. I'm trapped in a place called Caldera City, presumably in the dungeons of the Shadow Lord himself. If you're able to get here, find a way to release me, and together we can put an end to him and his dominion over this place.
Putting an end to him, freeing this place, what does it mean? What does it mean for all the people here? All the creatures?
You see Duma smiles at you, but it's almost like, not like a happy smile, but a smile that a father might give to like a naive child. Dear Lysandra, is this not glorious purpose? Were you not endowed with the sword of the banished? Their hatred, spite, and vengeance flows through you, for you have seen how the world treats those deemed lesser. This is what connected us together, the desire to forge our own destiny and end the trappings of a bygone era. For too long I have waned here. I no longer have the ambition and drive I once had. I wish only to live in a world where he cannot trap or manipulate anyone ever again. Can you roll an insight check for me, Lysandra?
Sure. That was a natural 1.
It's actually impressive. It's kind of amazing.
You know what's sad? Lysandra's so bad at reading people. She has a +0 to her wisdom. So there's no modifiers.
Lysandra, you see the relief of a man who believed he had lost everything, finally allowing himself some hope. You have delivered death, retribution, and justice before, but you have never really given hope. And I feel that sense is washing over you with that nat 1 and really being dominant in your mind. And how does that make Lysandra feel?
It almost gives Lysandra a sense of, like, power. I think power in her own decisions that she's made leading up to this point, especially after the conversation with the party that we had last episode, all about Yellen and how, you know, she's similar to Yellen, but not her, and everything leading up to this. So feeling the sense that she is now giving someone hope is almost relieving in a way. And I think she sort of copies his smile. Then let me help you. I'm going to find you. I'm going to set this right, and we're going to do it together.
He smiles at you and says, I would want nothing else. And with your strengthened connection with your father and your hexblade through your sword now will always point north when you command it.
Ooh,
It's very handy.
that's cool.
A little assist from your father so you won't get lost.
Amazing. Thanks, Dad.
Louis, what has our resident grandma been doing to keep busy and, making sure everyone's okay in this encampment?
Yeah. She's been keeping mighty busy. I think she's been literally running from being a midwife to patching clothes and things that got ripped in the kind of escapade through the tunnels, doing sort of minor first aid on any sort of twisted ankles or like fractured wrists that happened as people got tossed around. I think she's literally just trying to keep herself as busy as possible so she doesn't have to think about what she has to do here.
I think you're keeping busy, Louis, and not just for that reason. You have been plagued by whispers ever since you have got here. It figures that one whose creation magic connects to souls is connected to these pitiful, pleas from wisps, half-lives calling to you on the breeze, asking you to restore them as you restored yourself. I'm going to give Louis an option here.
Oh gosh, okay.
You can attempt to block out these voices, and if you choose to, you can also fail. It was dangerous to do so, but it might enable you to connect more specifically to certain voices in here than others. I will leave the decision up to you.
The whispers have always, terrified Louis. They're tapping through, and, when you're a kid that's been caught, finding out that she's done something she doesn't know how she's done. So her first instinct is to keep being busy, avoid it, block it out, ignore it. But then she thinks about the fact of the conversation she's had with the Wellspringers, of the promise she's made to herself after everything that happened with Quig's soul on the ship. And she is going to take a step back from everything she's doing, make her apologies to those that she said she'd come and see, and is going to just sit and let the voices rush over her to try to work out what exactly is happening here.
As you slip off into your trance, Louis, you take 28 points of psychic damage. And I need you to roll me a D4.
Just a slight migraine.
That's more than half my hit points.
Yeah, that is how a migraine feels, though.
Yes.
It feels like it takes more than half your hit points.
A migraine feels like 5d6 psychic damage.
In fact, we're going to start saying that now.
Yeah. That is a 1 on the D4.
Is that good or bad?
I don't know.
You get reduced to one hit
point.
You block out those who are just wailing, shouting, pleading, beyond reason or any sensible conversation. You block out the wisps that have just been condemned here for an eternity. But a few of them have retained some identity. And with that 1 on the D4, you are only able to start this soul tuning. You hear the voice of an elderly man, wizened to the land that once was, before the ruin of Mount Admonition. And he says to you, Louis, "Beware the stone sentinels. They harbour hard truths and lies. Only the convicted will resist their sway." In this moment, I will, because you rolled so low on your D4, you can continue throughout Shadowfell trying to soul tune to the spirits around you to try and get helpful information. Now that you've done it the first time, it will be a save to actively do it rather than to avoid it happening.
I like the idea that it's just a sounds good, automated reply to this.
It's not so much that you can converse with them yet. You're just starting this process, and so it's almost like you're just listening more to what they're saying, like you're tuning a TV antenna.
I suppose we should be careful if we see any large rock formations.
Once Louis comes out of it, she'll go spread the word about the Stone Sentinels, whatever they may be.
Yeah.
The word sentinel doesn't rub me right.
No.
Don't like that at all.
Well, Louis, when you move away and you look out over the horizon, you see a sea of petrified stone trees.
Oh, yeah. And that was also what Lydrin pointed to when we asked who banished her, the Mind Flayers from Shadowfell.
This is some Narnia bullshit.
Denny, after dinner service, one night you emerge from the camp mess tent with your wrinkled hands and from cleaning the dishes. You allow Pud his mandatory 48-hour, 15-minute smoke break after dinner. The moons hang low over the horizon. Icy blue fireflies dance in the pale grasses, and the breeze rushes through the petrified trees. But it seems less ominous than usual. In the crackling torchlight, you spy Plimp leaning heavily on a heavy iron-bound barrel, absent-mindedly swirling her pinky finger in her mead. In the other direction, just outside of the torchlight, the purple light of the moons illuminates her bright blue, fleshy visage. Lydrin is chasing fireflies cross-legged, levitating herself in an effort to copy their erratic flight patterns. That scene is somewhat unnerving. Who do you approach first? Do you eat your veggies or go for dessert?
Oh. I thought the veggie thing was going to be more sexually explicit, but then you threw dessert on the end of it. This is the hardest decision I've ever had to make in my life. I've never been in the position of two people being into me.
No, Lydrin's not into you.
Oh, no? Oh, thank fuck.
Lydrin's not
Oh,
into you.
sorry, I was thinking of Daisy.
Sorry.
Oh, no, that's on me. Apologies. They're not at all similar names.
No.
Okay. I think Denny is going to approach Lydrin first and walk up to the Illithid and say, bonjour, Lydrin. It's me, Denis Gobert, the soup guy, chef chief, that kind of guy. Would you mind helping me out with something over there? I could use your telepathic abilities.
I think it's so funny that we've travelled with Lydrin for like 4 to 6 weeks at this point, and Denny is still introducing him what he does on the ship to her.
You see Lydrin continues her erratic flight pattern, eyes closed, but still is perfectly conversing with you, and says, "Oh, hello, Denny. Dinner was most amenable. Who knew the inoculation of bean curd with fungus would provide such a pleasing mouthfeel? Although, I do have to say, my current activities are somewhat testing my constitution."
Sorry, do you mean you are shitting your pants?
Is that the phrase?
Maybe. I'm not sure. Is that what you do? Are you are you pooping? What the fuck? We've had the most intense conversations this episode.
Are you pooping?
You see Lydrin quivers.
I want to take psychic damage.
No, fuck you. I get to roll.
Kill me.
You take 8 points of psychic damage.
That's fair enough.
You see Lydrin looks at you and says, well, no. And also, how could one shit their pants, to say, if they were not wearing pants in the first place?
Okay, fair enough. I apologize, Lydwin. Sorry, you seem to be having difficulty with something in relation to the food, yes?
No, not the food, Denny. You know where my difficulty lies.
Oh, it's that sort of situation, is it? It's not uncommon. 1 in 5, they say, so,
Okay. Also, totally female presenting.
Oh.
And also, no. Remember, you invited me on board the ship to seek a cure for my people?
No, we are on the way to doing that.
Right. Well...
Do you feel that we are not progressing enough to this end?
That is not my concern. Merely I am growing restless, curious. Where do we travel next to seek the cure? Direct me in your wisdom, Denny. I shall not fail, I'm sure of it.
Lydrin, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I'm not entirely sure where we are headed. However, Lydrin, read my mind. I invite you to please...
Haven't stopped since I met you.
Okay, well, don't tell anybody about most of it. But I promise you, you will not be returning to your home until we have found this cure. I will not be returning to my home until we have found the cure.
Denny, give me whatever check. Just give me an intelligence check to try and fix this situation.
Sure. It's a 9 total.
Okay, now give me a history check from what you remember about illithids from the Starlit Conservatory.
That's a 17.
17. You're pretty nonplussed in terms of next steps for Lydrin. However, you do have more or less a grasp on what you were able to steal away from the High Elves' lectures. You know that illithid colonies are powered by what's called an elder brain, and that those elder brains usually occupy the ethereal plane. You know from your voyage and what Holly has said that the moons are kind of outside the influence of the material plane. So logically, that would be a good place to start looking. But with that so low intelligence roll, I'm not sure whether you're convicted that that is the right decision to make.
Can Denis just be honest with Lydrin for a second and say, look, I have some ideas of what we could be doing to help your people. I cannot say for sure what the right thing is, but it sounds to me like we may need to head to the moons or to some realm of existence where the influence of the elder brain cannot reach you.
Lydrin thinks for a moment and says, perhaps. I mean, your theory is sound, but we need an elder brain to amplify our power, maybe shake off this disease. Perhaps on the moons I could find some cerebral fluid, something that contains the collective consciousness of many, and then, then I'll just have to sacrifice my own brain and form an elder brain for my own people. I can just do that. Small sacrifice, wouldn't you agree? And you see she claps and catches a firefly and she says that.
First of all, well done, very impressive. I have not been able to do such things. 2, I like where your head is at. I think it is good that you are willing to sacrifice for the greater good of your people. Let's keep that in the back pocket in case we cannot find another solution. And thirdly, you seem to have been surviving a very long time without an elder brain per se. I understand the effect of the elder brain in giving you your power and allowing you and your people to shake off the negative effects of your curse, but surely we could prioritize finding a cure without finding a regression to where you were. Do you not enjoy having free will?
You see Lydrin shrugs and says, some would argue free will's overrated.
This is a good point. I'm a bit of a bondage guy myself. But speaking of which, could you come and help me with something I am going to try over there? Gesturing towards the blimp.
Yes, Denny, I must warn you, most of my social interactions have not been fruitful in this voyage.
Don't worry about that, babe. I've got it.
Okay, well, I don't know much, but calling me babe in front of Plimp is probably not going to help your chances.
Excusez-moi, it was a turn of phrase. Lidwin, I need you more for a honesty. You're more of a lie detector in this sense, rather than doing any socializing yourself. Oh, don't worry. I will fail the socializing for both of us.
And you return with your wing woman, Lydrin, I guess, to Plimp. Plimp's eyes meet yours as you approach, and also Lydrin's, which he is a bit curious for. And you can't help but start to count the freckles on her nose in the torchlight.
Oh, did you find my diary?
Plimp looks at you and says, there he is, the working boy. Man, these pirates are sure going to miss your cooking when you're gone. And then you see Lydrin looks confused.
Oh no.
And I'm going to be Miss Unpopular, that's for sure.
Can we say that on the way over, Denny pulled out his alchemy jug and just summoned a couple of glasses of wine just to sort of set the tone. Hands one out to Plimp, hands one out to Lydrin, and has one for himself and just sculls it very quickly. Plimp, thank you for your kind words for one thing. Really appreciate it. I'm glad that the pirates enjoyed my cooking. I must confess I have a little bit of an ulterior motive in approaching you right now.
You see Plimp's demeanor, it's almost this The look of dumbfoundment starts to creep over Plimp's face as she slowly starts to realize that this is not the conversation she was intending on having.
Plimp, I would like to apologize. I feel that I have not been treating you with the respect that you so clearly command. It is a very new environment for me. I'm 19, I really don't know what I'm doing here. And I am not used to being effective. And I don't mean that in the sense of being good at something. I mean it in the sense that I am not used to the things that I do, the actions I take, the bonus actions I take, to affecting the world around me. I'm used to sort of flying under the radar. You understand, woke to woke. And I suppose I have not been giving consideration to how that may make you feel. And I just wanted to say sorry. And I bought Lidwin so you know that I'm not lying. Lidwin, if you could show that I am not lying, do the thing.
I am so sorry. I thought you were about to use Lydrin to interrogate Plimp about searching the office, but this is much cuter. And you see Lydrin moves eyes unshaking towards Plimp and says, he's in love with you.
Denny, who is green, turns red. Or whatever the green equivalent of brown, I guess. Denny turns brown, okay?
You see Plimp blushes as well and starts to re-stir her mead with her finger, and you see a small tear falls and cascades over her cheek, and she catches it before it drops. Holly's made me cook after you leave, you know?
Oh, really?
Never cooked a day in my life.
Oh, dear.
Well, not food, anyway.
Oh. Wait, what? What have you cooked, Plimp? Oh, shit!
Roll an insight check.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking, like, what else is there to cook?
Natural 20! Denny, you know that she's not sad about becoming a chef, not really. She's always followed orders diligently, and you wouldn't like to be the crew member that criticizes her cooking to her face. So Plimp is fine in that regards, and it's clear she is sad about something else. And you see Lydrin sits in the middle and goes, so the mutual affection at the table is really clouding my own confusion, because I was under the assumption that Denny would be accompanying me to the moons prior to our conversation literally 90 seconds ago.
Uh-oh.
Denny's gonna turn invisible. No. With his new fan of just
Fucking men.
Fucking men.
I tried to have emotional availability and it's blown up in my face.
You're literally smoke bombs.
Okay. Denny's gonna turn to Lydrin and say, Lidwin, I apologize if there was confusion in what I was trying to say. I will pursue this cure of yours in perpetuity until it is found. I believe there is something to be found on the moon for you. There may not be. There may be something somewhere else. I apologize if it sounded like I was going to be with you forever. And in a way I will be, you know? If you're not shitting yourself, that soup is staying inside you forever.
Plimp's just sitting there with her mouth open.
Well, perhaps it is good that you two are together. I can tell you, and you can read my mind, Lidwin, Plimp is by far one of the most amazing people that I have ever met in my life.
You see Lydrin's brow furrows for a second, says, she has killed quite a lot of people.
Yes, that's okay. Lots of really good people kill a lot of people. We don't need to judge. You eat brains. What are you talking about? Anyway, I think that Plimp, if you are an amenable Plimp, will be an excellent person to hold up my end of the deal. And the other part of the deal is that I will continue the search here in the material plane while you seek answers in the realms beyond. Does that sound fair?
I need you to roll a persuasion check, not for Lydrin, for Plimp.
Oh, can I have advantage because we're in love with each other?
This is actually making it worse.
Oh, no. Disadvantage? No, don't give me disadvantage.
Yeah, roll with... No, I'm joking.
Yeah, thank God. All right, here we go. 4. So 4.
For the audience back home, I remember creating Denny with Oscar, and he was like, no, I love having low charisma. This is great.
I do love it. It's very funny.
And this is all I'm hearing right now. You see Plimp puts on the most fake smile you have ever seen and turns to Lydrin and says, don't worry, darling, you stick with me. We'll be fine. I trust Holly, and so I think we can find something for everyone up there. Darling, do you mind turning off that little telepathy of yours and walking over there for a minute? And you see Lydrin, nods dutifully and floats away. And then she turns to you, Denny, with angry, crying eyes.
Denny's pouring more wine.
What is this, Denny? A babysitting service? What are you putting this octopus on me? What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to get involved on the way to the end of the earth?
Puts a finger to her lips.
She rolls 17 on the dice.
Oh no.
You take 5 points of
Biting damage.
Piercing damage.
God, Denny is so turned on.
She has a snaggletooth, but it's made from gold, so it does a bit of damage. So you're leaving now anyways? I have to be smarter than that. Look, you know what? I was stupid to even... This is why I didn't give you anything from the start. You are walking around with soul weavers, shapeshifters, shadows. I can't help you, Denny, in whatever this is.
Can Denny roll a deception check to hide his feelings? Hide how sad he is by this?
Yes.
13.
And so how are you deceiving her?
I think Denny is trying really hard not to cry, and trying really hard to not come across as hurt by this, and is just going to say to Plimp, I am very sorry. You may have noticed social maneuvering is not my strong suit. I really did only come over here to apologize for my behavior to you, and it seems my behavior has continued to affect you even in this apology. So I am very, very sorry. I have the rest of the wine, and I'm going to pour the rest of the wine out so she can just have it at her leisure. And please tell me if there's anything I can do to make amends for this. I really am sorry.
You see she chuckles to herself and says, just one, and slaps you hard across the face and walks away, and you are left alone in the encampment.
Denny, absolutely distraught, is going to remember that he's wanted for a crime he didn't commit and is going to go find Holly.
You approach the captain's pavilion and you see that the tent door is open, similar to the night back on the Halyghast, deep in the werewolm's tunnels. You see lights pouring out. You hear the scribbling of a quill within.
This time Denny's not going to stealth in. He's going to walk in openly, setting off as many alarms as he possibly can.
You set off no alarms, but you see your captain bent over a desk. She's working diligently, and she says, Denny, and doesn't look up from her work.
Bonjour, Holly. How are you? You seem well. You come here much?
I see Feng has obviously spoken to you.
He has. I guess you and I are not ones for small talk. Fair enough. Holly, I just wanted to come and say... In fact, Lidwin, come over here. I'm going to do it. No, okay, never mind. Holly, I just wanted to come say... I did not do this. I promise you I did not do this. For one thing, you would not have caught me if I did. And another, I cannot dispel magic. I have no ability to do that. That is not in my wheelhouse.
You're telling me an artificer can't create items that can dispel magic?
Denny's gonna think about it and go, I really don't know, actually. Maybe. Did I do this? No. You're tweaking me. Holly, I promise you I did not do this, but I am as concerned of it as you are. And so, with your permission, I would ask, would you allow me to investigate the scene of the crime?
You see Holly kicks back from her chair, putting her incredibly high heels up on the desk and says, if I didn't find anything, you sure as hell won't.
Well, it's amazing how trying to clear your name can motivate a person.
You see she gestures to her office and gives you free reign of the room.
Awesome. Can I make either an investigation or an arcana check. Like arcana to try and figure out what cast this, what dispelled the magic going on in here, and or investigate to look for any clues.
Give me both an investigation and an insight check, because it's more than just data.
Sure, yeah. All right, I'll roll that investigation first. That is a dirty 20. Not bad. Insight check. Is it 2? No, it's a nat 1. Sorry.
Oh,
There are a few things that you have discovered, but you are far from anywhere close in piecing them all together. You notice that the seal was indeed dispelled by something. There are no footprints on the ground. So whoever was in here definitely was able to cover their tracks. No finger marks, none of that. And then you remember Holly's question about artificers tinkering sits in your head, and that unfortunately only increases the opportunities of who it could be, because perhaps maybe it was dispelled by an item and not a spell.
I think learning what Denis learned in the room, he would like to bring that to people who are better at assembling data rather than necessarily just cultivating it, and is going to go try and find the other wellspringers.
Sweet. There are 2 weeks now we're going to have a downtime. Even more tireless work from Finkel and Holly. The Halyghast is nearing capacity for departure. The arcane engine has been refined. It's now sleeker and more compact in its design. With the removed parts and panels, along with the ore Finkel has been smelting, has been retrofitted into refraction lenses and amplifying riggers installed throughout the deck. Holly and Charity have inscribed massive glyphs, familiar Rhinebeard ruins, and even a spell or two from Lidrin across the hull. These are warding spells, spells of modified water breathing, spells of clairvoyance, etc. The Halyghast has never looked so alien and majestic. It has become clear to the Wellspringers that you are also about to leave, heading to Caldera City to liberate Lysandra's father. How are the Wellspringers preparing, and what are they doing in these last final moments with their crew?
Could Denis try and talk to Finkel and just see if he has a different sword? Nothing magical about it, just a sword.
There are cutlasses on the ship and stuff.
Sweet. I'm wondering if it's okay with Louis. Could I swap out Louis's artificer infusion? As nice as it is, there's other stuff we could be doing with that, and I'd really love to sort of shop some stuff around.
Yeah.
So Denis going to go grab a cutlass, hoping that it doesn't belong to any of these rogues, and give it to Louis and says, Louis, I did find you this. It is a cutlass. I'm wondering if perhaps we could do a trade for the old table legs that I gave you before.
Oh, yeah, sure thing. Yeah, you need magic. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Denis gonna take the table leg from Louis, throw it over his shoulder, quickly defusing it. Is then gonna, and I would like to offer you another infusion. I was gonna lay a hand on Louis' back and infuse her leather armor with Mind Sharpener.
Ooh.
The way that Mind Sharpener works is that you get 4 charges when you are concentrating on a spell and make a concentration check to maintain concentration. You can expend one of these charges to simply succeed.
That's insane.
If you fail, you can simply choose to succeed, and you roll a d4 every day to see how many charges you have.
Thank you.
Feng has a look at all of the newborn mantelopes and realizes that they probably can't take 6 mantelope to potentially fight Belial. So Feng is going to look wistfully at the Wellspringers and Grick, who have just named them, and he's going to go up to Grick and say, hey Grick, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you for helping so much with Cecilia and Patrick and that whole situation. I don't actually think I could have done it without you.
Am I going to get paid for that?
Well, actually, Grick, I was kind of wondering if you would be interested in taking Cecilia, Patrick, and all their children to the moons.
Moon to low.
I just think that where I'm going, it might be too dangerous, and of course, no one's ever returned from the moons, but I think you're going to do all right. I think you're going to make it.
You see Grick's bottom lip begins to quiver, and he looks at you and says, sorry, low blood sugar.
Grick's diabetic.
Feng looks for Louis and says, Louis, we need a candy over here, stat.
On it! Comes over, just throws like 3 in his face.
Okay, thank you. All right, does this help?
Grick turns to you and says, I'll take Sticky.
Feng will also take this moment to say, Grick, I also want to apologize for not understanding what you were saying and intending sometimes. You see, I've kind of had a lot on my mind here. I'm kind of wondering whether, the world is going to end again, whether we're going to have another cataclysm, and I just couldn't think clearly. So I'm sorry for getting angry sometimes when I couldn't understand what you were saying, I'm just glad that we got to travel together, and I'm glad I got to meet you.
You see Grick shakes your hand, Feng, and then returns to the Mantelope family, and he starts untangling the Mantelope pups who are feeding on Mum.
Feng also goes to the extent of casting Speak with Animals and gathering all the Wellspringers around as he is a blubbering mess for probably at least 30 minutes and is relaying goodbyes from the relative Wellspringer that named their Mantelope, and basically just gives each of them a monologue send-off.
These baby Mantelopes are so small and have not a thought between their eyes.
Same.
Wood and Denny are crying in each other's arms.
Lysandra wants to go and find Charity just to finish off their interaction. Is she up in the owl's nest?
She's got many perches now that they're out from the tunnels. She sometimes sits in the owl's nest. She sometimes sits on some of the sight stones in the circle, or even will sit in the perimeter of the trees when the moons are up. But you find her just sitting on one of these sight stones in the camp.
Lysandra's going to climb up onto the side stone and try and sit next to her and look up at the stars with her.
You might look up at the stars, but you see she's working on a star map in front of her.
Ooh. Lysandra, knowing that she's working on a star map, is just going to look over to it. What you working on, Charity?
Charity smiles up at you and says, well, these are several trajectory patterns that we are going to try. I just need to work on the re-entry calculations so that we can actually, try again and not perish in a fireball.
You don't think you'll make it there in one shot?
You see Charity bites her bottom lip and says, I know the priority wouldn't want me to go. This wasn't part of the mission that they sent me, but what are the ideals of the Priory if not self-betterment? This is a prime opportunity and I can't risk it. So yes, we might burn up on entry, but at least some of our knowledge will stay behind. And you see Charity pulls out a map.
Ooh.
And hands it to you. And it is basically the way you got here from Nua to Shadowfell. And she says, if we don't come back, at least you might be able to get home.
Thank you, Charity. This is so incredibly helpful, but you will make it back, and your journey of self-betterment, you can tell it to everyone.
I get that, Lysandra, but look, you're an idealist, I'm a pragmatist at the end of the day. This is my way of showing my feelings.
Lysandra's just going to pull her into a hug.
One afternoon, the moons begin their slow descent over the horizon. Holly has called a meeting under the torchlight for the entire crew. And as they are gathering, Louis, you walk into the pavilion. This is essentially before she's going out to address them.
Yeah. Taking this small moment of time that she has with Holly after, I don't want to say butting heads, but continually having altercation after altercation, she wants to just approach her to kind of level out the playing field and just have a farewell, I guess. Wants to just approach wherever she is standing and preparing, just kind of walking up. Afternoon, Captain?
You walk into the pavilion, Louis, and you see that she is dressed in her captain's revelry. You see that Finkel has obviously designed some rudimentary suits for space travel, and you see that they are tight black with silver trimmings. You see she has a small star above her left clavicle, indicating her rank on the ship, and you see her hair is tied back slick. and she looks again tired, but she's put the makeup on and she's making it work. And she turns to you, Louis, and says, I'll get through it. I always do. It's just the next step.
And you're on the trajectory for greatness.
Well, we'll see about that. Greatness is often determined by those who write the books. And if I don't come back, I don't see myself writing many books.
Our paths have been entwined since Sidewinder, since the Apani, since everything there when you kicked off this whole plan. And we've been tangled in and out all the way through, owing, untrusting, operating off past motives, and I just wanted to let you know that as we are approaching the end, good luck, because we're done. We're even.
You see Holly nods and says, so you don't even want to know if we make it?
Oh, I want to know. If you want to reestablish that and set us on a new footing rather than operating off of past debts. We're both going to places unknown, unrecorded. I think that's a start for a fresh slate if we ever interact again. If either of us make it out of this.
Holly says, that would be nice, but Finkel and I haven't been able to break the communication barriers. I'm not even sure how we could even communicate with you while we're up there.
I know you don't trust what I do. I know you think it's unnatural, especially after the whole situation with Q2 a couple weeks back. But since we've been here, I've been hearing whispers, connecting with souls. Things have been reaching out to try to talk to me. And so, maybe we can pass a message or two.
You see Holly furrows her brow and says, you can speak to my soul?
I don't know yet. Maybe. I haven't thought about it like that.
This is what I'm going to offer you, Louis. You can take this moment to lead Holly in a ritual similar to what you do in order to try and connect with the souls. If you do this, Holly may be able to reach out in an emergency or if they are successful. It's up to you.
Yeah, I think she'd do it.
It takes 45 minutes to an hour and you see the crew are left waiting, but Holly does not care. And she senses your discomfort and she says they can wait. And you take your full time, you lead her through the ritual. And by the end of it, she looks a little bit more confident and calm in herself. And she looks at you and says, thank you.
Of course. You got great power in you, kiddo. You're gonna do amazing things.
And she steps out to address the crew. Under the torchlight and the gaining gloom as the moons begin their descent, a hush circles over the crowd, and Holly begins to speak. I want to first thank you all in your effort on the voyage here. We set out from Feldspar with promises of riches and glory. We have delivered on your need for riches, satisfied your primal urge to get ahead and one-up the system designed to contain you. But it will never be enough, my crew. This world will always see you as a delinquent, a reject, a scourge, unless we write the books on our own destiny. I will not lie to you. I do not know what we will find on the surfaces of Fwill and Maella, but I promise you, it is a place where we will determine our own destiny, beyond the wills of Jarls, kings, and gods. I offer you only my knowledge, my guidance, and my last breath to realize this dream. In return, I ask only for your hand, your sword, the sweat of your brow, and the courage to truly decide to live a life greater than yourself. In a week's time, we sail for our dream. And in this moment, I will enable the Wellspringers to interject, shout something, and this will determine the outcome of her persuasion check that she's about to make.
Woo! Go Holly!
Lysandra's first sober woo. Now that is character growth.
I know we are all worried about not having our favorite chef on the ship with you guys. I would like to give the new chef, Plimp, my cooking book. And he's gonna give Lady Grelkin's cooking book to Plimp.
Is that your spell focus?
No, my artificer tools are my spells.
Okay, good. That is fine.
As I give it over, I'd like to say to Plimp, I expect this back when you return.
You get nothing from Plimp, but Holly rolled a 16 on the dice, and you see the crowd erupts in cheers. You see a smaller group picks up Plimp and just starts to carry her away. And the sun's set on the Camp Halyghast as the Wellspringers begin preparations to depart. And that is where we will end our session.
Oh my gosh.
I need to throw up.
Right. I can't believe how much more psychological and emotional that already felt.
I took psychic damage.
We took so much psychic damage.
Well, gang, another exciting episode. As always, we're getting close to the end. Things are heating up.
Oh, God.
But some things will always stay the same, such as selfless plugs. Today, I have a selfless plug that I want to do.
Ooh.
A few weeks ago, Daniel and I had the privilege of going and seeing Sister Act in Melbourne, headlined by Casey Donovan, who did a great job. But that is not my plug for today. My plug is for, what are they called, the Swing?
Yeah.
The Swing understudy who came in halfway in Act 2 to do one of the titular role. Her name is Melanie Bird, and she absolutely smashed it out of the park. Look, it's Sister Act. They're nuns, so they're not all tap dancing, but this bitch was tap dancing. It was so entertaining. She was so professional. Loved the costumes, loved everything. That's my selfless plug.
Swings already have the hardest jobs, needing to know probably 4, 5, or 6 tracks, and so to be able to come on at the start of Act 2 is so tough, so well done.
As always, don't forget to follow us on our socials at Down on a Dungeon Pod or from our Linktree. Send us or tag us in any of your fan art, and you can always reach out to us via email, downunderdungeonpod@gmail.com. If you're feeling kind, please leave us a 5-star rating on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and we will see you all next week.
We'll see you there.
Bye.
Bye. Hey there. Just a quick thank you to our loyal listeners for supporting us in our first year of the podcast. Unbelievably, we only have under 10 episodes left in Season 1. So, to celebrate you, our audience, we have created a Discord. This is a space for you to connect with other listeners, cast members, and general TTRPG goblins. Moving forward, this will be the first place that we share any announcements, as well as additional content from our game masters and players. You can join the Discord from our Linktree. We look forward to seeing you there.